Triple H just dropped the hammer on Bron Breakker, and wrestling will never be the same. What happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, then proceeds to absolutely annihilate that object on live television? Well, you get Bron Breakker turning Seth Rollins into a human crash test dummy, and Triple H losing his absolute mind in the process. Ladies and gentlemen, we are witnessing the most insane backstage power play in recent WWE history. And if you're not already subscribed to WWE Extreme, you need to hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell right now, because things are about to get absolutely unhinged. Let me paint you a picture. Bron Breakker, the genetic freak who makes his Uncle Scott Steiner look like a gentle yoga instructor, just committed what might be the most brutal assault we have seen on Monday Night Raw in years. Seth Rollins, the architect, the visionary, the man who has survived everything from chairs to curb stomps to betrayals that would make Shakespeare weep, got absolutely demolished by Breakker in an attack so vicious that even the announcers went silent. We are talking multiple spears through barricades, power slams on the steel ramp, and a level of intensity that made everyone watching wonder if this was a wrestling show or an actual crime scene. The attack was so brutal that medical staff looked like they were preparing for a natural disaster response rather than treating a wrestler. Now here's where things get absolutely bonkers. Triple H, the cerebral assassin himself, the man who literally built his career on being the calculated villain, the guy who's done every dirty trick in the book and invented a few new ones, suddenly decided to play judge, jury, and executioner. The game, Mr. King of Kings, the 14-time world champion who once buried everyone from Booker T to Sting without batting an eye, looked at Bron Breakker's actions and said, "Hold on a second. That is too far even for WWE." Can you imagine? Triple H, of all people, drawing a moral line in the sand? This is the same man who once married the boss's daughter in a drive-through wedding ceremony while she was allegedly drugged. The same guy who formed a faction literally called Evolution, designed to keep himself on top forever. But apparently, what Bron Breakker did to Seth Rollins crossed a line that even the game would not dare approach. The ban came down faster than a Goldberg spear. Triple H, in his capacity as Chief Content Officer, which is basically fancy corporate speak for the guy who controls everything you see on WWE programming, issued what sources are calling an indefinite suspension. Not a fine, not a stern warning, not even a storyline punishment where Breakker has to face some kind of consequences match. We are talking about a full-blown banishment from WWE television. Bron Breakker, one of the most promising young stars in the entire company, the second-generation powerhouse who was being groomed as the next big thing, just got benched harder than a backup quarterback in his rookie season. This is career-altering territory, folks. This is the kind of punishment that makes other wrestlers sit up straight in catering and remember that no matter how tough they think they are, Triple H holds all the cards. But let us talk about the elephant in the ring for a moment. Is this a legitimate punishment or the most elaborate work in modern wrestling history? Because Triple H did not become one of the greatest minds in sports entertainment by being predictable. This is a man who turned his real-life relationship with Stephanie McMahon into storyline gold. A guy who convinced the entire world he was retiring only to return when it benefited the story. The master manipulator who has orchestrated some of the most complex narratives WWE has ever produced. So when he comes out and bans Bron Breakker with the fury of an angry parent grounding their teenager, we have to ask ourselves if this is shoot or work, real or sports entertainment magic. And honestly, that ambiguity is exactly what makes this situation absolutely brilliant. Think about the implications here for just a second. Seth Rollins is not just any wrestler. This is the franchise player, the guy who has carried WWE through some of its toughest periods, the performer who can have a 5-star match with a broomstick if you give him 20 minutes and some creative freedom. He is Mr. Monday Night Raw. The man who shows up every single week, delivers incredible promos, puts on clinic after clinic in the ring, and never complains about doing the heavy lifting. When you target Seth Rollins, you are not just attacking a wrestler, you are attacking the very foundation of what makes Raw must-see television. So from Triple H's perspective, Allowing Bron Breakker to just walk away from that assault without massive consequences would be like letting someone vandalize the Mona Lisa and giving them a parking ticket. The punishment has to match the crime, and in WWE's world, where everything is amplified to the extreme, a ban makes perfect sense. Now let us analyze Bron Breakker for a moment, because this situation tells us something fascinating about his character development. When he first arrived in NXT, he was this explosive ball of energy, all potential and raw power, but still learning the nuances of storytelling. He was exciting, but somewhat one-dimensional. Then something changed. Breakker started showing layers. He got meaner, more calculated. The smiles disappeared and were replaced with this cold, predatory focus that honestly makes him terrifying to watch. This attack on Seth Rollins was not a momentary loss of control. This was a statement. This was Bron Breakker telling the entire WWE locker room that he does not care about politics, respect, or paying dues. He is here to take what he believes is rightfully his, and if you stand in his way, you're going to get destroyed. That is a star-making mentality, folks. That is the kind of edge that separates good wrestlers from legendary ones. The timing of all this is absolutely perfect from a storytelling perspective. WWE is heading into its biggest season, with major premium live events on the horizon and storylines that need maximum heat. What better way to generate nuclear-level interest than by creating a situation where the most dangerous man in the company has been banished and everyone is wondering if and when he will return? It is the wrestling equivalent of Chekhov's gun. If you ban Bron Breakker in the first act, you better believe he is coming back in the third act with a vengeance that will shake the entire company to its core. Triple H knows this. The fans know this. Even Seth Rollins, while probably genuinely hurt from that assault, knows that when Breakker eventually returns, their match is going to be one of the biggest draws of the year. Here is what makes this situation even more intriguing. Triple H has completely changed WWE's culture since taking over creative control. Gone are the days of nonsensical booking and talent being wasted. Now we have long-term storytelling, wrestlers being treated like legitimate athletes, and consequences that actually matter. So when he bans Bron Breakker, it carries weight because we know Triple H does not make empty gestures. Everything serves the story. Everything has a purpose. This ban could last a week, a month, or even longer, but whenever Breakker returns, it will be at the exact right moment to maximize impact. That is the genius of having someone with Triple H's in-ring experience running creative. He understands timing, psychology, and how to make moments feel genuinely important. The fallout from this is going to be absolutely spectacular. You have Seth Rollins, who now has to deal with both physical recovery and the psychological impact of being targeted so viciously. You have Bron Breakker lurking in the shadows, potentially appearing anywhere, anytime, because indefinite suspension does not mean he is locked in a vault somewhere. And you have Triple H playing the authority figure who has to maintain order while also knowing that chaos creates the best television. It is a powder keg situation where everyone involved has legitimate motivation, real stakes, and the potential to create moments that fans will talk about for years. This is exactly the kind of storytelling that makes WWE must-watch television, and WWE Extreme is going to be here covering every single twist and turn. Thanks for watching WWE Extreme. We will see you in the next one.